It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Question all the things that you know. Steve likes the weed. Steve likes the weed. Tell you about DMT. The DMT. Hoosier Sophisticate Show. The Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Hoosiers with the drink. Sophisticated blasphemy. It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Question all the things that you know. So let's set our minds free for the singularity. It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. The Hoosier Sophisticate Show.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary, sentient, artificial intelligence, and all you smearers alike. You know who you are.
Smearers.
Smearers, you damn dirty smearers.
You damn smearers. Smearers.
Guys, how are you? Steve-O, what a week, buddy.
What a fantastic and phenomenal week again in the life of Steve Elgin.
Definitely in the life of Craig I. Kohler.
I just love it, man. We got a big show tonight because we got a juicy interview. People have been frothing at the mouth over and frothing in the pants about. Just frothing everywhere, really.
We are going to chat with, I believe, the campaign manager for what will be known as Initiative 2020-128, the rec bill, the cannabis rec bill.
We want to figure out what's going on.
People have questions.
If you got your questions, put them in the chat. Watch us on Facebook, Hoosier Sophisticated Hoosiers. Mycelial Media.
On YouTube, no doubt.
Why not?
If you want to email us questions, you could email us at Twain, Twain, at mycelial.media.
Yeah, I'm not going to get to those tonight, but we might check them. We might check them during. We got a lot going on. We got a lot going on.
Listen, we're going to chat with John Payne. People have questions. We have questions. Everybody has questions. We're still in a state of maybe a little bit of confusion about where we're at with the medical bill and how things are rolling out there. And honestly, we've talked about this, I see a community divided. A community divided.
No doubt.
And so at this point, we're going to try and have a conversation. Let's advance the dialogue a little bit.
No doubt. And John's a great dude. He talked to us when we were two Bobos with an H6 recorder down at Gazelig. For a birthday party.
It was actually Matt Blind's birthday party, but it was also a Show Me Cannabis fundraiser at Gazelig. And John sat down with a couple of... John said 3? John sat down with a couple of guys who decided this is what we were going to do and gave us a great interview, a cogent interview. He's been on the show twice when we were still in the palatial 920 studios. And so we're gonna chat with John a little bit. We're going to try and ask some questions. We hope that you guys will give us some more questions. Hopefully some of the questions we ask lead to maybe more questions. And ultimately, that's how we're going to get to the bottom of this whole thing. Yeah. I'm excited.
We're a community, but I got all the questions, so you guys can just stay at home for this one. Because Daddy brought his big boy pants. I wrote them down. What? Wrote shit down before a show? What?
Listen, I just want to shout out my guy here. The amount of work that he is able to do to put this thing together. We did a lot today. Bobby Battlehawk showed up to give us a week 2. Bobby Battlehawk came in here, broke down some XFL football today.
Oh, flat got after it.
Flat got after it.
And you're also going to get the chance to see us try to maneuver a Skype call while live on the air. So share this feed. Share it for anyone you think would be interested in knowing what's going to happen with marijuana in Missouri. Because we're going to figure it all out tonight.
No doubt.
Rec and medicinal. What else is there?
Listen, the good thing is that whether or not this works, it plays right into both of our humiliation fetishes. So if we look like assholes on here, just know that we're enjoying it as much as we're
going to
hating it.
All right, let's go to the desktop here. We're going to go over here and see that. That's
there he is.
Test call.
Right there. Let's go ahead and give him a little shout. Let's click on old dude right there. All right. Yeah.
Then what do we do?
We're gonna go ahead and accept that bad boy right there. He wants to connect.
He wants to connect. This is like cybering all over again. I like this. Do I hit this?
Now you just need to get out. Yeah. Actually hit the other one because he's just gonna do a regular call today.
I want to let's see what he does. All right, let's do it. This JP.
Maybe my favorite Pope of my lifetime. I don't know. Old JP. There he is. John Payne, what's happening, brother? Mike, can you give me the make sure the desktop audio's on? Not you.
I got you.
Steve's got me.
We're doing all the buttons, bells, and whistles here, brother. We got you on live. What's up?
All right, John. We're just a couple of bobos. You know who we are. We're not surprising you here. We need to kind of try and break this thing down a little bit, and just to give everybody an idea of who you are, what you're doing, what you've done in the past. What was your role in rolling out the medical program?
So I was the campaign manager for Amendment 2. I helped write part of the amendment. Well, I helped write the amendment with a number of other people. And then I managed all the day-to-day affairs of the campaign to put it on the ballot and pass it in 2018. And since then, I founded my own consultancy, and then I am now also the campaign manager for Missourians for a New Approach, which seeks to legalize the adult use of marijuana in Missouri here in 2020.
Okay, let's talk about how the bill has been rolled out so far, the medicinal bill. How do you feel like the rollout as far as we've come so far? How has that been in your eyes?
I think it's really been good. I know that there is some controversy surrounding the licensing, but I do really consider that to be a secondary issue. The primary issue is are patients being able to get into the program and being free from arrest and prosecution? And the answer to that is an overwhelming yes. The Mizzou study predicted that we would have 29,000 patients in the state of Missouri after 3 years, and we're already close to 35,000. That doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. I think that's the main thing, and that has been very successful. And I do think that we're going to have access to commercial dispensaries, cultivation, infused products, in the near future. There will probably be, I know there's going to be a lot of appeals on some of these, but there's going to be operations, and there's going to be patient access.
John, what does it look like to get a bill introduced? Can we as citizens, can we kind of write up any language, and provided we get the signatures, are they obligated to put it to a vote?
More or less. But so the first phase of any initiative campaign is that you have to draft the actual petition that you want with the language of either the statute or the amendment that you want to put on the ballot. And that it has to be sent first to the Secretary of State's office. And what the Secretary of State does is they send that to the Attorney General's office and to the Auditor's office. The Attorney General reviews the amendment or the statute for what's called facial validity, meaning whether it's constitutional at all, if there's anything that would make it unconstitutional or illegal right on its face, and then the State Auditor's Office reviews it for a fiscal note and generates, the thing at the end of the ballot language that says, here's how much money the state expects to bring in, and here's the cost expected, and here's how much local governments expect. And then finally, the Secretary of State's office prepares a 60-word summary of everything that is in the amendment. And now, in this case, the amendment's, 20-plus pages long, and many of these proposals, especially the statutory ones, can be 50, 60 pages, even 100 pages long. And so, 60 words, and they have pretty broad discretion on how they do that. And so that can really be a major factor in whether you succeed or fail, because if the Secretary of State's office gives you ballot language that makes your life difficult, even if everything, you could have two identical amendments, but if the ballot language is, harder on one than on the other, presents it in a more negative light, it can really sink you. So that's phase one. Then you actually have to go out and gather the signatures, and you have to get about 170,000 valid signatures, and they have to be distributed across 6 of the 8 congressional districts in the state in a number proportionate to 8% of the votes cast in the last gubernatorial election in each of those 6 congressional districts. And that is pretty daunting. It's not an easy task. And it's it's not that difficult. Well, it's difficult to get the total number of signatures, but really what makes it especially difficult is getting them across all those congressional districts, because while it's very easy to get signatures in, say, the city of St. Louis, which is Congressional District 1, or Kansas City, which is Congressional District 5, then you start getting out into the more rural areas of the state, and it can be quite difficult indeed.
I mean, is that where the Missourians for New Approach come in? Is it? I guess it's a mass effort for such a massive undertaking. Is that the role of Missourians for a New Approach now?
Yeah, I mean, that's the role of any campaign committee that's seeking to pass a ballot initiative, is to organize all the people and the resources necessary to gather that many signatures. Because, I mean, when you're talking about 170,000 valid signatures, you're really talking about like 300,000 or so total signatures, and that's without having some major organizing force behind that, it's not possible.
Gotcha. I loved what you said earlier about keeping people out of prison. I mean, that's like one of my main focuses from the beginning, mainly because the man's been hassling me for a long time. Lay off me, man. I'm just trying to get off me. But that's been one of my main focuses. Now, we have seen issues with like Jamie Wilson and cases where it seems like the people who are following the rules right now are still being hassled. Does Missourians for New Approach have any role in that, or how are we moving forward trying to move past some of those things?
So as a campaign committee is by law, basically all it can do is campaign for its particular issue. That's what it exists to do, and that's all it can do. It's we're bound by Missourians for the Missouri Ethics Commission's rules on what a campaign committee can do in that regard. But certainly, a lot of the people involved have been advocating for people like Jamie Wilson and others who have been following the rules, and their local law enforcement or what have you did not get the memo. And so, yeah, I mean, I can say that people have been pressing all the buttons possible to try to make sure that message gets out to law enforcement that, hey, these are the rules, and it doesn't matter necessarily where the patient got their cannabis at this point. If they have their card and they're below the limits on that are established by the Constitution and by DHSS regulations, then you're not supposed to hassle them, police officer. That is, and so this is kind of the case anytime there's a change like this. Some people just aren't going to go along with it quietly, and but I think the courts are going to, and have, it appears, in this case, said, hey, we're throwing this case out because the guy was in the right. So it's very unfortunate that it happened, but I do think that it will be set right by the judicial system. I'm generally, in a clear-cut case like that, you rarely have a judge that's going to go the other way.
Am I correct in assuming that New Approach Missouri and Missourians for a New Approach are pretty much totally different entities? Maybe New Approach Missouri dissolves after their goal is completed. I guess we got it on the bill, so there was no need for New Approach Missouri more. Is New Approach Missouri and Missourians for New Approach a different, two different entities?
Yeah, I mean, they are different entities because, again, they exist for separate purposes. One existed to pass the medical amendment, and then this one exists to pass this adult use amendment.
So with those two initiatives, are we talking about the same kind of primary funding? Was New Approach Missouri, is it pretty much the same drafters? I know you were involved in both. Are we talking about the same kind of local influence, same kind of money coming in here? There's some questions surrounding, who's actually funding this initiative.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same basic group of people. Myself and Jack Cardetti, who is the general consultant on the previous campaign, have kind of led the effort in terms of organizing it. The same campaign attorney that drafted the bulk of, basically did all the actual drafting on the medical amendment. Brad Ketcher, he also did the drafting on this amendment, and then we've involved a lot of the people from the normal chapters, and also from a lot of some of the national organizations that have pushed for drug policy reform across the country, such as New Approach PAC, the Marijuana Policy Project, Drug Policy Alliance. They were all involved in this one, just as they were in the last one, and pretty much the same coalition as we had last time.
And then just a follow-up, maybe a little bit redundant, but is there a larger umbrella maybe trying to pass similar initiatives in other states? So in other words, is somebody Montana for new approach, or Oklahoma for new approach, or Kansas for new approach? Is that all kind of underneath the same umbrella of things, or pushing kind of a similar...
I mean, I think all the drug policy reform organizations, the new approach has generally been backed by, if you see a state campaign committee that has that name, then that's generally been backed by those national organizations that have supported it.
Right on. How do you feel like, okay, we had the medicinal bill, the rollout has been good. How does your timeline work from after the medicinal bill rolls out? Do you guys immediately start thinking rec because we have this wave of momentum, or what's the thought process there?
I mean, honestly, that was not my thought process. I was skeptical of this. We did some polling over the summer, or actually maybe late spring, and pleasantly surprised by the results. And yeah, it does appear that there is passing the medical amendment created real momentum because it's a substantial jump in the level of support than what we had seen prior to passing the medical amendment for adult use. So I mean, I was frankly a little bit like, is this the right year? And then I saw those results and I said, well, all right, if this is the shot, we should take it.
Okay, we're going to get into kind of how the language, differs between the two, or what this does to the current legislation. But I guess because you weren't involved in the beginning, is it a fair maybe assumption that maybe they were written around the same time? Like, is the language pretty well similar to where maybe some of the what some people are viewing as pitfalls in the medical program were maybe also included in this because they were drafted at the same time?
Well, they weren't drafted at the same time, but I mean, they were drafted. We certainly kept to mostly the same sort of framework on this amendment as we did on Amendment 2. That's certainly true. And kind of the way I view it is, look, this is that is not a panacea. It is not the be-all, end-all. There's still work to do after this passes, but it's a solid framework, a foundation on which you can build, and through the regular course of the political process, push for further reforms. And so, you try to set a baseline for this is all going to be legal now, and this is what the state has to do in order to get that operational. But can we go beyond that? Certainly. But then those questions kind of have to fall to us moving forward.
Gotcha. Can you break down 128 for us a little bit, and then how 128 would affect the current medicinal bill?
Sure. So, 128 would end the arrest and prosecution of people for possession of marijuana in the state of Missouri. Anyone over the age of 21, it would be legal. And that, starting on, I guess, December 3rd, should this pass into law, the decriminalization aspects of it would immediately go into effect. And, you would be able to possess and not have to worry about prosecution. You would also be able to expunge anything that is now legal, so possession, small-scale cultivation, small-time distribution. All those charges could be not automatically expunged, but they would be non-discretionary for the court to expunge it. If you apply, they have to grant that expungement, and then also it would set up a commercial program. The medical program would kind of roll into the adult use program, and then we also grant new micro licenses. That would be targeted specifically for individuals who are designated as economically disadvantaged. On the medical, a lot of the licenses were, it said, for a positive economic impact in the site community. And I think one of the things we saw is, well, people might locate in a specific community, but the ownership doesn't actually come from there. And on the micro licenses, the ownership specifically has to come from individuals who are designated as economically disadvantaged. And then also, it does set up a tax rate on marijuana, and that would be 15%, which is lower than Colorado, lower than Oregon, much lower than California or Illinois. I believe it would actually be the lowest, at least in terms of any that are percentage-wise. There are some states that it's a flat dollar figure, so it kind of makes it difficult to put that in percentage terms. But any of the states that have a tax that is percentage, we would be the second lowest behind, surprisingly enough, Massachusetts has the lowest. But so a fairly low tax rate that will both provide quite a bit of revenue for the state, but then also still keep taxes low enough to eliminate the illegal market.
Can you? I'm sorry there for just a little bit on the micro licenses. So will that be a whole new licensing process? I assume. Like, is that going to be something where people that applied? I don't imagine that anything that applied to people trying to get a medical license would really have anything to do with the recreational license. Or am I wrong there? Is there some kind of favor for having a medical license, or if you had already put in for a medical license, can you essentially return that in for a micro license, or are the requirements going to look a little bit different there? I'm sorry. Can you fill that in for me a little bit?
So the micro license is a new process, and actually, if you are a holder of one of the current medical licenses, you actually cannot apply for one of the micro licenses. So it's specifically trying to point at a social equity aspect here for people that maybe were not able to get into the medical marketplace. But the medical licenses, if someone is licensed under that, then they would be able to apply for to basically sell on the adult use market.
Would they have any kind of? Is there any language in there that kind of gives them first dibs on those licenses, since they already have an established cannabis business in the state?
Yeah, they would be the ones that would be able to operate first in the state. That's been the case in every state that has passed this. That's the way it has happened just now in Illinois. It's also one of the reasons why they were able to roll that out within a year of passing adult use legalization. They were able to have their first sales, and so the goal there is to be able to get this up and running as quickly as possible.
John, we have a lot of people in the group, and a lot of people seem to be upset that there weren't more licenses awarded right off the bat. Do you have any idea of maybe what was DHSS's thought process, or why they limited that? And would you maybe, in your thought process, maybe would have wished they would have allowed more licenses? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, sure. So speaking as individually here, my libertarian side, sure, I'd have no problem if they had no cap on the number of licenses. But I can't really speculate to exactly DHSS's thought process currently. But I think that they figured, well, the path of least resistance initially is to issue the minimum number of licenses and then see how that rolls out. And that also probably gives them, wiggle room in terms of, people will appeal, and so then they're able to grant more licenses down the road. But that's I can't say that for certain, but I would expect that some of those appeals are going to be successful. So I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on the numbers, but I think that's likely to be the case.
Just based on the cost that people have, already invested in this, and I'm with you on the libertarian side. I think ideally, a perfect market, and maybe we can expound on this a little bit, is one that kind of grants licenses and lets people, sink or swim based on their own business acumen. But I can't ask you to speculate why DHSS would do that, but after seeing kind of the fallout, I guess, and kind of the community that was left hanging, is there a reason why that we keep like even a language that says they have to grant a minimum? Could you just as easily say you have to grant all of them that meet these requirements? What would be is that something that the Secretary of State could kick out of there, or why not write that up? Because I think that's kind of what Oklahoma had. I know Oregon had a much more progressive, open licensing deal. What's the purpose there for even having, barriers on that?
Yeah, so I mean, you certainly could do that as a matter of law, but there are reservations that people have about this, and so they might support legalization, but they worry, well, I don't want 3 dispensaries on a single street corner, and that's not a concern I necessarily share, but it is certainly a concern that people have, and so it's you do still have to convince 51% of Missouri voters to vote for this, and while there is strong support for legalization in general, when you start getting into those sorts of details, you can lose support pretty quickly if you try to push things too far. And there's essentially 3 ways that we could have dealt with that. We could have said in the amendment, hey, this is the maximum number of licenses in the state, and we certainly didn't want to do that. We could have said the licenses shall be unlimited and prevent the legislature or the department from instituting any sort of limit. And I think that was, we kind of viewed that as not politically feasible. Or you can say, hey, there's no maximum number, but here is the minimum number that you have to issue. And so, that's the route we took. And look, that's the route that pretty much every state has taken. I grant you the point of Oklahoma. I've been surprised that has. Because the language in Oklahoma is not all that specific. I think the legislature could have come in and instituted limits, and much to my surprise, they have not. But pretty much every other state, in some form or fashion, has a limit on the number of licenses, and it either happens at the state level or at the local level. I mean, even in Colorado, most counties are dry. Denver and its surrounding areas allow for adult use dispensaries, but you go to Colorado Springs, that is not the case. Most of the state still does not allow adult use dispensaries, and that's the case in California as well. So it's there's in every state pretty much there is some form of limitation on the licensing process.
I'm with you on that. I can't think of anything else, and maybe you can. I just can't think of any other product that comes to market that we essentially bottleneck like this. Where, I mean, it'd be one thing if we had 60 licenses granted, and it went to 60 different entities. It looks like a lot of bigger, conglomerates maybe ended up with multiple licensing, maybe something like 37 got the total licenses of the 60 cultivation.
Yeah.
My question is, and this, I mean no offense by it, but I wonder, is language,
he definitely means offense by it.
I don't mean offense by it, but I'm trying to open it up, like if does language like that essentially prop up a consultant business? Like I don't think it would get rid of it, because I think a consultant would still be necessary to get you the minimum requirements to get your business through. But is there a case to be made that you're essentially creating this other revenue stream, this go-between of people entering the market and essentially just throwing a bunch of money at it and ultimately being out their savings?
I don't think so. I think that it would, if there was an unlimited number, you'd still, theoretically, I would think you'd have even more consultant work going around, because you'd have more licensees, more people applying, and maybe the applications are not as, it's not competitive, but people would still be hired to fill them out. There's a ton of consultants out in Colorado who every year, or however often the renewal process is, fill out those the applications for renewal for all these companies. So I don't think that there's I don't see it as necessarily propping up the consultant business. In fact, I think the consultant business might do even better if the licenses were unlimited.
Okay, that's fair. I'm trying, we're trying to figure out here. So moving forward here, and I don't know if the state, I'm not even sure how it worked out with medical, who it was. We think we had a cat on the show that actually scored the applications that went through here. But what I guess, is the same group going to be trusted by the state? Is there going to be another bidding process on who scores these? Are we going to handcuff DHSS to actually do the work to score these? Is that something that maybe we're having some regrets about the third party that ended up scoring this, and maybe kind of some of the inconsistencies there?
So there is certainly no the scoring company that was hired to do the medical scoring. There's no reason to think that they would be the ones hired to do it again. It would be a blind scoring process, but that could be done by DHS in-house, or it could be bid out to be bid on again by any number of companies. I will say, and this is again kind of my personal take on it. I do think there are some inconsistencies in the scoring. So I think that we're going to see some of this play out through the Administrative Hearing Commission, and there's going to be some successful suits over there. And that's look, we provided a method of relief for people that were unjustly denied through the amendment. I don't think you can ever devise a perfect process, but what you can do is devise a good process that is then also has a form of judicial review of due process. And that's what we did. And, due process, it may not be fast, but I think it usually does get the right outcome.
You mentioned something about expungement, and that's what I love about the 128 bill. And like you can apply for expungement, and they have to grant it to you. Are we talking about everybody from pounds and growing the biggest amount ever? Like, are those people off the hook now in Missouri?
So that's a little bit complicated in terms of, like if you're talking about pounds, huge amounts, because that is something that would still be illegal for an individual person to do without a license. So that would not necessarily be expungible right off the bat. It would at least be discretionary. And what we've seen, though, in other states is that generally speaking, the courts say, yes, we're going to go ahead and expunge that, even if this is discretionary to us, because people have clearly said this is something they don't want to be illegal. But to write that into law can be a little bit tricky, because if you're saying, hey, this is all expungible, then what happens if, a guy is growing, has 150,000 pounds of marijuana down the road and is arrested for that, that was, grown for the black market.
He sounds like a hell of a guy to me, John. Sounds like a hell of a guy. The medicine man is what I'll call him.
But then he's arrested and he's convicted, and then he would just immediately apply for expungement. So it's difficult to write that in terms of how do you create that? How do you create an expungement process for something that is not being made legal?
All right, I know the taxes are a little bit lower than most states. I mean, some of Illinois is insane right now. But I'm always curious about the veterans, the tax that goes to the veterans. And first, let me preface that with: do the rec bill and the med bill just work right alongside one another? Is that how this is going to work?
Yeah, that's correct. So the medical program would still exist. Medical patients would keep their 4% tax rate compared to the 15% tax rate. We also do make some changes to the medical program that are good for patients. We add in reciprocity for patients from other states who have cards. They're currently protected from, arrest and prosecution as long as they have their card and are under their limits. But this would actually allow them to go into dispensaries and purchase here in Missouri. And then we also changed the length of a card in Missouri to 3 years. So, a person would only have to go to a doctor once in those 3 years to get their certification, and then the patient ID card lasts for 3 years.
Okay, and just to get specific on the veterans groups, do we know exactly where that goes, or if it just goes into a damn slush fund, my friend? But I always want to get specific on that stuff. If you got any thoughts or know where what that happens with that?
So, the Veterans Commission would have discretion over that. But
Okay.
So essentially what the Veterans Commission in the state currently does is they run homes for disabled and aging veterans. That's one of their big services. They do provide some health services to veterans. And those are then in the medical amendment, and I believe that also in this, the adult use amendment, we call out specific, healthcare services, counseling services, job placement services, et cetera, as the specific things that in the Veterans Fund that we want it to go for.
Awesome. If 128 passes, how hard is it to make a change to it? Is there making any changes to it if it passes? I'm just wondering if we're moving too fast,
or before it passes.
Yeah. Good point. Is there any changes can be done to it, or is it kind of set in stone now?
So at least in theory, there is a possibility of changing it beforehand, but the issue is a logistical one because it takes about 2 months to get something approved by the Secretary of State, and the signatures are due by May 3rd. So that's just at this point in time is pretty much a dead letter. And it can't be amended by the legislature or by the department after it passes. But again, kind of like what I was saying is the legislature and the department can pass any rule or law that is consistent with the amendment. So, for instance, we were talking about licensing. They could always say, hey, look, here's the minimum number, but the legislature now thinks there should be more or there should be no limit. They could pass a law that says there's no limit or the number should be this. And as long as they're not going below the minimum, they can pass that law.
How does the 15% get split up among the state? What does that fund? What kind of programs does that fund?
Yeah, so and I'm gonna mess the exact percentages up, but the part of it does also go to the veterans. And one thing we wanted to make sure, because there's probably going to be some amount of money that is spent less on the medical program in terms of how many people are purchasing through the medical program. If adult use happens, some people will just forgo getting a card and just purchase through the adult use program. And so we wanted to make sure that the Veterans Commission didn't lose any money with this passing, and in fact will gain a little bit of money from this. So we assured that. And then we also put in some money for drug treatment and drug abuse prevention that would go to the Missouri Department of Mental Health. And then some money for infrastructure, roads and bridges in particular. And then finally, 3% of the 15%, so 1/5 of the tax revenue, would go to cities that have retail dispensaries or allow for retail dispensaries, and so they would be able to use that money as they see fit for their general revenues.
So, when it comes, I understand, kind of reaching across the aisle, trying to figure out how to get things passed and make it flavorful for everything. I think Missourians, even though we passed cannabis, medical cannabis, I think it was the highest voted on thing in the state in 2018, with almost 70%. I think that this maybe addresses some road taxes, things like that Missourians have voted down, and people have said, well, they're going to get it anyway. I kind of have a hard time piggybacking it on top of this, but not to editorialize or anything. When it talks about the rehab for mental services and everything, is that public programs or is that for like for-profit rehabs?
That is public programs. They could, and there's no reason to think that they're going to give it to for-profit rehabs. Those are generally not, they don't usually get a whole lot of government money. They do now get, what they do get a lot of is people that are sort of forced into rehab, primarily people who use marijuana, then, they have to go to a rehab service, and so they end up going there and they pay for it. But no, this would not necessarily be anything like that. I suppose it would be within the state's power to do that, but this is more, trying to make sure, that people have access to things to help them get off of opioids and prevent opioid overdoses, those sorts of services.
Okay. All right. Under 128, I've got a bunch of weed. My buddy's on hard times. Can I give my friend cannabis? Can I sell him cannabis?
I want to say that's from Nate on Cannabis on our text feed. Do not do his show. He's a terrible human. I'll say it right now. No, Nate on Cannabis is one of our great buddies. And that's what I've always wondered too. The gifting. Can we gift under 128?
Yes, you can.
How as much as I can, or how would we do the limits?
Okay, it does have to be under the possession limit of I believe that the department can establish a limit of you have to at least be able to have 1 ounce, and so you can give up to 1 ounce away automatically. I think the department could have a higher limit. But yeah, as long as you're under that limit, then you can gift it, but you cannot sell it unless you have a license.
What does it do for because it works alongside with medical patients? You said that I, as a medical patient, get to keep my 4% tax and buy at those rates. How about when it comes to our home grows and our caregivers? Are my plant counts going to be? Are they going to be affected by this language? And as a recreational user, what are my plant counts going to look like, or does it just make it all one thing?
No, it's there are two different plant counts. Patients would keep their six plant count, which the department defines as 6 mature plants and 6 plants under I forget the exact
14 inches,
the exact heights, but basically 6 immature plants and then 6 seedlings more or less. And then for adult use, anyone could cultivate 3 plants, and presumably the department would have similar rules on the immature plants and the seedlings to go along with that.
Does the language state that right now, or would that be left up to them? Does it just say 3 plants, or does it say 3 at each level?
It says 3. I forget the exact term. 3 flowering plants. And so, it does not specifically call out any of there is no specified limit on other types of plants. And so that was, under Amendment 2, that was the same way. And essentially the department came in and said, here's what we think the limits on the immature plants should be. And, I think they would likely follow that same framework here.
I don't know. That was great.
I mean, we're trying to get it all out there.
The gifting and growing is
I think that the gifting and the growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the market is the people, and I know that separating the two of them, for whatever we feel like getting prisoners out right now. How do you have a rough idea of how many people are in prison that we're passing this expungement for? Was there even an idea until we got the language right to maybe just put an expungement forward because people were so supportive of cannabis, or did it feel like you just need to do it all at once in order to just kind of not wear Missourians out with this on every ballot?
Well, it's just a very time-consuming and expensive process. So, I mean, you kind of have to, do a lot of it at once. The traditional way it's been done in other states is medical and adult use, and some states don't even have the expungement language in there. But any time that mostly recently they all have, and so we definitely wanted to include that here. And I don't know exactly how many people actually imprisoned that this would account for, but I can give you an idea of how big the scope of this would probably be. There's about 22,000 people that are arrested every year in the state of Missouri for some kind of marijuana offense. And most of that, the vast majority of that, about 20,000 of those arrests, is for simple possession. And this is actually, there are only 4 states that arrest more people than us, and that's Texas, New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, all of whom have much larger populations than we do. New Jersey is the smallest of those, and it has about 10 million people compared to our 6 million. So we have maybe the highest per capita rate of arrest. And I don't know that all of those arrests lead to convictions, but it's safe to assume that the vast majority do. So we're talking about probably hundreds of thousands of people that would be able to expunge those records and no longer have to say, yes, I have this misdemeanor, or yes, I have this felony for marijuana.
And, we talked about appeals a little bit, and with DHSS and all of these people that are appealing, and some of them are going to win, which is going to be another insanely expensive process. Is DHSS using the money that we've raised with licensing and through, well, I guess there really hasn't even been a whole lot of tax revenue because we don't have medical dispensaries open yet, but is DHSS right now allowed to use the funds that we are raising in the state via licensing to defend themselves in court?
That is the case presently. I would say that there is the legislature and the governor's office could have something to say about that. So that is it is any of that money that's not spent would go to the veterans services. So I think that this is, again, there are remedies that are available to people through the ordinary political means, and I think if you want to call up your legislator or call up the governor's office and say, hey, I don't think the department should be spending money on this, you are well within your rights to do so.
And if the DHS, I'm just going to follow that train a little bit. If the DHSS couldn't fund their legal, what would that even look like if somebody was suing for appeals? What would that even look like if we stripped that funding?
They would probably have to settle the vast majority of those in some way, or they would, lose because they couldn't. The Attorney General's office does defend the entities of the state to the extent that they can, but there's only so much that they could possibly do in-house. It would definitely make it difficult for them to actively defend a lot of those cases.
Now, it seems like the grassroots movement was all pulling in the right direction for medicinal, and now it seems like it's the grassroots is either divided or maybe against it from what we've seen just in the chat rooms. And I know it's naive to think people live on the AOL chat. Yes. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think it was the case that it was united when it was. Well,
it seems so good in my memory. I got an ass
well,
tattoo.
I think there was a period from when we got on the ballot to when the application started that was kind of everyone felt very good about it. But this is this process is actually kind of a lot like a primary. Until something actually gets on the ballot, people kind of fight about it, and then there tends to be a unifying effect when it's like, okay, no, this is actually either going to be voted on. You can either vote for this or you can not, and that tends to be the point where people kind of come on board, and some don't. But that's usually there were definitely people that were opposed to the medical amendment that after it got on the ballot said, okay, no, I'm behind this. I'm agreeing with it, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar phenomenon here. Look, I'm not, if people want to pursue, I know there was another proposal that was out there. I think the Secretary of State rejected it. But, if there were other people pursuing gathering signatures on it, I wish them well. I'm not saying that I have all knowing and perfect vision on what this should be. I think, let people go and pursue the every path they want to. We'll see, who can get the signatures, who can get on the ballot, and then the voters get to decide. I believe in the process more than I believe in any one particular proposal.
Okay. Now we got a couple questions off the text line. Now, can we sell small amounts, like at a farmer's market? If 128 passes, can you sell little tinctures at the farmer's market yourself?
Infused baked goods.
Yeah.
You would have to have some kind of license. If you have a micro license, you'd be able to do that, but it would not be something that you could do purely without some kind of license. Now, I would say that under the current hemp program in Missouri, you'd still have to have a license, but it's a pretty open process, and so that does have any form of CBD or anything like that that's very low THC. That can be done with a hemp license. So. That is definitely available to people currently.
Okay. So, you're involved here. You're pretty much the point man for Missouri here, but it does sound like there are other new approach measures there. Are these same people, these people holding fundraisers in other states, to help fund these different initiatives? Are they doing anything for us at the federal level? Do we see any movement there? And that might be completely out of your wheelhouse, but if we're talking about multi-state initiatives, we also have a lobby in D.C. of these same people that are throwing the same kind of money at it?
Yeah, that does exist. I would say the hurdle there is there's no national initiative process. We can't go and gather signatures to vote on something at the federal level. If we could, we probably would have done that several years ago, because sure. The popular support is definitely there, at least for some of these reforms. And the issue is that to put it very, very specifically, so I know for instance, the banking proposal that passed the House. And this is pretty minimal, stuff here. This is just, hey, banks should be allowed to take money from people that are in the legal cannabis markets. And it passed the House and it went to the Senate, and I can't remember the exact committee, but I think it is the banking committee, and that's headed up by Senator Mike Crapo from Idaho. And his basic response is, hey, I hate this, and so I'm never gonna bring it up for a vote. I'm never gonna have any discussion on it ever. And that's kind of in the Senate especially, these the chairs are very, very powerful. And so if they don't want to have a debate on it, they don't have to. And so kind of until either he's gone or there's change in the leadership of the Senate, that's unlikely to change. And that's there's a lot of lobbying, a lot of effort being put into trying to get these things passed, and it is getting better. but there are still roadblocks like Senator Crapo.
Do you think the language maybe helps prop up the black market? Because now that we can kind of just have our name on it, I don't like. It seems to be such a gray area in some of it that you're the libertarian guy that you are. Is it because they don't think bills like that will pass? Is that why the language isn't a little bit more Wild West?
Or better yet, the other initiative that was maybe a little bit more inclusive. Why is something like that thrown out by the Secretary of State? Like, what is what is that barrier that's not going through? Does the Secretary of State ultimately get to decide what rules we're playing by?
So, that would have been the Attorney General's office that made that decision there. And, I don't know specifically what it was, but some error as to form. And look, I mean, that happened to us. The first time we submitted this, they said, hey, there's this small error in form and you're going to have to change it or we're going to reject it. So we refiled and resubmitted. And I mean, it's a fairly common thing, but you have to have, basically you need attorneys that have a lot of experience doing this to make sure that doesn't happen repeatedly. Because I know that, last cycle, the Proposition C proposal was rejected 3 times before they finally got it through the process. It's a pretty ordinary thing, and it's just that's the process. And now to get, to say specifically what that was, that's a little bit beyond my understanding, but it's very technical. Like, no, if you're going to put this in the Constitution, you have to have this underlined here as opposed to bolded. That's literally the sort of stuff that this is. And so, but the Secretary of State's office also does have a very powerful role, like I was saying, with the ballot language. I mean, that was something, frankly, we were pretty concerned about because, Jay Ashcroft is not super friendly to this issue. If you recall his father's time in office as the Attorney General of the U.S., I mean, he locked up Tommy Chong. I mean, like this is, and so we were definitely worried about, will they, kind of slant the ballot language to make it difficult for us.
This is just more of a curiosity than anything. If you're working on a campaign like this or on past campaigns, does that preclude you from being involved? Does that limit your involvement in the industry or in the potential ownership of the industry?
No, that doesn't preclude that. I definitely wrote a number of the applications for people through my consultancy. So, I'll be very forthright about that. That's part of what my job is now. It's not something I actually, when I started doing this, I was totally just on the nonprofit ideological side of it. And I would absolutely continue doing that till the day I die. But, when this passed, people were saying, hey, would you like to come work for me? And would you like to help write these applications? And I said, well, I'd be foolish to pass up that opportunity to, get into something that I love. I love all aspects of this. And so I want to be involved in it as much as I can.
Fair question. Thank you for answering that.
John, you're the man. I also want to say, what do you think about the Battlehawks, baby? Caw-caw.
So as I mentioned when we were talking about this on Messenger, I have no idea.
Don't say that. It's political suicide, brother. You gotta go with the caw.
Hey, listen, John, I know it's we got a busy couple weeks coming up. We're going to be at the BizCon. Maybe if you get a second, you can sit down with us. We can do a little sit down, hash out any more questions. Maybe some people have been coming up with, and maybe do a little round table or something. But one thing I appreciate you do is you got in front of it. You answered some questions. I'm sure we could come up with some harder ones, but you've always been respectful of us. We're respectful of you. We appreciate everything you've done to lead us to this point, and we appreciate you answering the questions that we have for you tonight.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to, or if you want to give that? What's your personal number?
So if people want to go to the website for the campaign, it's mo4newapproach.org. And then if they want to get in touch with me, they can still email me at john@newapproachmissouri.com.
Awesome. I'll put your personal number in a graphic.
Yeah, put a Skype link up there.
All right, cool. All right, John, thank you so much for your time, and we'll be talking to you soon, buddy.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right,
bye.
All right, let's go to the. Should we go? Let's do some commercials.
Yeah, is it that time?
Let's go to break.
We did this for an hour, guys.
And then we'll discuss this when we come back.
I'll tell you what, boy. We really appreciate you guys sitting with us. And hey, thanks to John Payne for getting in front of the questions. Yeah. Guys, we know there's more questions. We told him we were going to get them for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We're going to get them again. We'll get you some more answers.
God.
You guys want to get in on this? Get in on it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump to break. After break, you guys aren't going to believe it, but an old dude named Bobby Battlehawk came on through here, dude.
I can't wait.
Bobby Battlehawk came on through. He flat broke down the Battlehawks for you. We hope y'all stick around.
Hold on. Replying to...
Reverse legalism. Guys, get the joke. Get the joke, guys. He's fucking taking the piss out of you. Come on.
The biggest interview we get since Doblin, and he's trying to sabotage it. That's Seth.
You criminals are going to prison. Reverse cowgirl style, baby.
Hey girl, where you wanna go?
I don't care, I just love you.
Are you hungry? Do you wanna get something to eat?
I don't care, I'm kinda hungry. Anything sounds good, you pick.
How about some Mexican?
No, I had that for lunch yesterday.
How about we get some Italian food?
Ew.
Okay, now you're not saying anything and just giving me a look.
I just want something delicious.
What does that even mean?
I want to sit outside.
Applebee's, son?
Applebee's
no,
is
Applebee's.
gross. I'm not eating
good.
Applebee's.
I don't know why
Applebee's
you're always
fries
on
are
Applebee's.
disgusting.
Applebee's is one of
They're
my favorite
gross.
places to go ever.
I'm not eating Applebee's.
I want to go to Truman's. Let's go to Truman's. Soulard, go to Truman's. I want to go to Truman's. In Soulard, take me to Truman's. We agree on Truman's. I love Truman's. Soulard, I love Truman's. Soulard. Truman's and Soulard, a place we can all agree upon.
Shut up, you idiot.
James Carlton. James Carlton. James Carlton. You gotta get your insurance. Gotta get that State Farm insurance.
You think you found the best insurance agent in the game? Well, I got news for you. I did, and it's James Carlton. State Farm. CarltonInsurance.net.
961-4800.
Hey everybody, I'm just making this post as a little public service announcement. I recently had a roof leak, and I got online and called the #RoofBoys. They showed up and they didn't have a truck. They came out of the woods near my home, which was odd. When they showed up, I'm pretty sure they were children. The little one was aggressive. He was beating on my garage. He was shirtless and had a tattoo that said Bug Life. And the older one didn't have a ladder and said he would climb my roof by getting on the pillar, and he was slapping a spatula around, which I don't know what a spatula does for roofing. So if you want a reputable roofer, I recommend you go to Lifetime Roofing and Renovation, located in Webster Groves. They've been around since 2005, and they're grown men.
Hey guys, it's me, Kippy the Crazy Koala Bear, and I'm here to tell you about James Carlton Insurance.
Kids, quiet down.
It's the best.
Kids, quiet down and listen to Kippy.
Grown-ups need insurance, and Uncle James can help.
Right on.
Grown-ups need insurance. He's got the best reviews on Yelp. Grown-ups need insurance if they want to protect their house.
Yes, sir.
Grown-ups need insurance if they want to properly bury a spouse.
That's a bit morbid.
Grown-ups need insurance if they drive a truck.
Okay.
Grown-ups need insurance just so they don't get...
Whoa, Kippy, you can't...
Well, I was just going to say get in trouble.
Okay, well, it sounded like you were going to say something else. James Carlton, State Farm Insurance. You can find them online at carltoninsurance.net, or you can call them at 314-961-4800.
We're back, guys. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Listen, we know that there's a ton more questions, and we're going to continue to ask them as they're going on. I have way more questions.
Me too. I thought of like 5 more.
The micro business licenses is something that is interesting to me. I want to see more what that looks like. We talked about it a little bit in the beginning. He expounded on it a little bit. We're trying to ask the questions, trying to expand the dialogue. I didn't want John to come on here and gotcha, but I think, he answered the questions that a lot of us had. I
didn't get to ask the question, who are the shadowy figures behind everything that we can really just rally the townspeople with our pitchforks and our torches, fire, and we go, let's get up. Well, that's the person I want to destroy. But really, I'm speaking on a real level. The black market is just going to be alive and well. Like, fucking open the gates, everybody. My God, I know, and everyone's like, Steve, can't help me. You can't do that. Can't do it. Why? We're being punched in the dick constantly, and it's bullshit, and I hate it. But we're also getting to this point. Everyone's fired up. I appreciate all of you guys watching and commenting.
No doubt.
And that is the lifeblood of what we do. I mean, we do it without you anyway. But, Mike, what'd you think about the interview, buddy?
I definitely made it easier to make my decision on...
What's your thoughts so far?
I'm against it.
Yeah?
Why? I believe it doesn't help the medical marijuana card holders. It doesn't hold us tight, like where we keep our plants, we keep what we have as far as what we put in. I don't.
Well, I feel like that was what I want a little bit of clarification there. They say 3 plants. Yeah, they say 3 plants, but he acknowledged that it does not specify 3 in each stage. That's a concern. Try to ask about some out-of-state fundraisers. There's clearly out-of-state money that's happening here. And when we look at the granting of these licenses, and a lot of the entities that got it, a lot of it's out-of-state money. We expected there had to be. It was part of the bill. There had to be somebody that had already. There had to be some past market experience, right? But my question is, it's just because of maybe the similarities in the language. It seems as though these were drafted roughly around the same time. And I think my biggest issue, I feel like, well, he said they weren't drafted at the same time, but it was clearly done done before we saw the medical program rolled out. Right? Okay, that's one of the big things that I think is like, does it really address any of the shortcomings that the medical program currently has? I don't think so.
I don't know if he necessarily thought there were many shortcomings, maybe for the libertarian side of him, but it seemed like he thought the process had been pretty well rolled out. Didn't it?
Yeah, I think that John gave honest answers about what he thought was a pragmatic approach. Sure. But my question is we are community divided. It's pretty clear, and I think the big thing is whether or not a larger national PAC knows that they can maybe capitalize on what 70% of the state, got behind. Sure. However, the reason that 70% of the state was well educated enough to not only vote for Amendment 2, but to also vote no on 3 and no on C is because the grassroots and the average activist, advocate that actually got on board with this, I feel like they felt like it was maybe they had a pie in the sky idea of what was going to happen, and everything was going to happen to its best case scenario. But there are small businesses, and people continually talk about, well, a lot of this is going to be overturned in the appeal process. I mean, a former sponsor of ours who was also in for, whose group was also in for some licensing, it took an incredible amount of their personal money, their life savings, things like that. This is not exclusive to them. It is, you can apply it to just about any business that didn't get a license. I mean, there were plenty of big money businesses. Also, one thing I should have probably asked about, and I will ask about again, is licenses being for sale. Like once you win a license, selling that out. And then what does it look like? How does it protect?
You got to do it for a year.
How does it protect the businesses that aren't vertically integrated? And he did acknowledge the fact that people that already have medical licenses will actually get some kind of head up in the game in order to get licenses beforehand. And I'm just... They
can't. The medical people can't.
No, not in the micro. They can't get a micro license, but the people that got medical licensing will already have operations that are set up. This is how I understood it.
Oh, I thought they couldn't get rec.
No, so they will actually be given a little bit of favor to get a rec license. And people can say this is just people that are butthurt about not getting licenses or whatever, but honestly, nobody's given us a good reason as to why granting more licenses is not that is going to ultimately give the patients and the rec users, the end users, the buyers, the cheapest entry into the market, the most access to medicine, to cannabis, to whatever they're using it for. So I think that there are some big challenges and hurdles there. So ultimately, what I get out of this is that John, who speaks for the campaign, speaks well for the campaign. Acknowledge that this isn't the perfect bill. There is no panacea. This isn't a utopian existence. So ultimately, at home, and the people that were involved with passing the medical legislation and everything else out are going to have to ultimately make a decision whether it's good enough. And at this point, guys, we're just going to keep trying to get questions out there and get answers for you, and you can ultimately decide whether or not you even want to put it on the ballot or not. I don't know.
Two things. I wonder, because he said it's 2 months to get something changed on there. We asked him how does that change? If you did just add a couple more, say 10 more plants a person could grow, which doesn't seem like a lot, but from the pictures I've been seeing, holy shit, 10 plants would be insane.
At every stage, it'd be a bunch.
Yes. And then say gifting as much as you want, because he said you can actually gift an ounce. What is that, an ounce a day? Like I can gift an ounce a freaking day? Like what's a and then the gifting thing, like you can't sell it, but like prostitution is alive and well with the prohibition doesn't work even when you kind of suckle at the teat of prohibition. That's because you say it's 400 roses. Not that I would know that they use roses. I used to do this thing where I would prank call hookers from the Riverfront Times. It was one of the finest moments in my life. I asked one if she had a pristine butthole, and I would barter with them. I'd be like, I got 5 guys here. 3 want to watch. 2 want to put it in your butt. One, I'd have this whole thing, and they'd be like, some of them would be so offended, but other ones would be like, they'd negotiate with me. I used to think it was so funny as a 19-year-old dude. But
everything's negotiable.
Exactly. So then if you're gifting something, then you could just say, yeah, man, I gift you this, but I'm also going to need $100 for this paper clip. Like they have programs like that in Washington, D.C.
In D.C., yeah.
In D.C. where you got to buy cookies or some shit. And they're $90 cookies. Well, there's some weed that comes with them. We're making the laws right over here. And we got to say, you do this. And federal land, can't get over there. You'll go to jail forever. What the fuck?
Now, damn well ain't nobody above the Mason-Dixon line going to be talking like that in Washington goddamn D.C.
You know that, right?
Come on, man.
Come on, boy.
Listen, shit. I tell you what, this seems like...
Okay, that was a 2-parter. So the first part is that's how do we just gift? That was the whole thing. But we gift enough. Growing and gifting. And then in Missouri... all of this stuff passes. None of our dreams come true. All of our dreams come true. Whatever. It's a broad spectrum. At the end of the day, do we as Missouri consumers, with our Facebook groups and our community, are the cannabis consumers, are we at the heart of everything to where we're going to talk to these business owners who are opening dispensaries, who are doing cultivation? We know Clover. We know Bethany. We know these people at these companies. We know Josh and George and all these people who are probably going to end up big players in the game, I would hope, by the end of it. How do we support them? By the community. We're building communities. Do we keep Missouri a community-based thing, such a tight community that we ultimately sway? Or is that a pipe dream?
Puns. I just I feel like right now
the power's in our hands.
I feel like right now, if I'm Missourians for New Approach and I'm behind 128 or any of the people that are behind 128, I think I would be spending a lot of time wherever this conversation's taking place, whether it's social media, whether it's at meetings, whether it's wherever. I'd spend a lot of time reaching out with olive branches and acting like you're trying to hear some people, because right now I do not.
People are mad.
They're to quote Bobby Battlehawk, they're madder than a wet hen. All right,
you guys are going to love Bob. I can't wait to watch it.
I mean, straight up. This is the deal. He said that we weren't unified, and I mean, he's right in the sense that there was clearly the Bradshaw initiative and there was the Prop C initiative.
Yeah,
but the Amendment 2 initiative was all pulling in the right direction, and it was the cannabis community. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's all right. What you trying to do, babe?
I'm going to take it to the desktop and then just give you a little bit of what we were looking at earlier. If people want to come check this out.
Ballotpedia.
Ballotpedia has it. And it's kind of interesting because, you get these documents. And, I mean, it's a little ridiculous to text, but I want to show you this one.
All the legal speak?
Yeah, and everything in brackets, they say, gets removed, but everything in brackets is from this.
Right, so what does it say? This measure amends Article 14, Section 1 of the Missouri Constitution by deleting all matters within the enclosed brackets and adding all of the underlined matters as a required pursuant to Section 116.
That's why I was curious about if they go hand in hand with the rec bill. And he said it did. Twice or three times.
He said that they work side by side, and it could be a matter of basically that was written out. But I would encourage everybody to go check this out. What is being removed and what is it being replaced with on Ballotpedia? It's ultimately everything that you vote for. It's really ultimately up to you to get as well educated on it as possible. But one of the frustrations as a voter is that the legal speak and the way that these things are written, and the way that these things are written, it's ultimately lost on a lot of people. If you say that this is what you're doing, and by the way, the ballot language is even smaller. It's this big.
Way smaller.
It's going to simplify everything. So what's all of the stuff that's actually in the bill versus the summary, the cliff notes of it that people are ultimately voting on? Because when people go to the ballot box, that's what they're voting on. So if it says, hey, this is going to open up a rec market, and it's not going to give all the details of it. So it is your responsibility to not only educate yourself, but to educate all of the people that you know and love about ultimately, what this does, for everything. So I don't know. I'm in a place where he talks about the libertarian in him, I talk about the libertarian in me, and the market is the people.
We're two libertarians inside of each other.
Well, and here's the deal. He would know this as well as anything. There's never been two libertarians that fucking agreed on more than 60% of anything. That's why we can't get anybody elected. But we all live in a utopian world. So, but I like to at least lean into, the freer market, the better. And I think that I don't think that there is anything else besides cannabis. I don't think there is anything else that we are ultimately talking about legalizing, decriminalizing, that we're also putting caps on how many. I mean, there's liquor stores all over the joint. Every gas station sells beer. Dude, I mean, there's like, man. Come on, man.
There's beer. You can get bush beer.
Come on, dude. You can do it. So, I mean, you let people apply for licenses and you let them sell them. So, I don't want to editorialize. I just want to bring you what we brought you. And you guys, and we'll keep asking questions. Keep sending us more questions. We got a handful from you guys, plenty of great questions from you guys as the conversation was going on. It is hard to educate yourself when they hide what the fuck they're saying with legal jargon. I completely agree. And that's my little brother saying that
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Come on, man. When adult use happens, it must protect patients and get people out of jail, period. No doubt. Let's see. Billy Boyle's printed all
well, see, that's already tricky because then it's federally illegal. So the guy with a bunch of pounds, maybe the federal.
Expungement is only going to apply to state cannabis prisoners. It's not going to be anybody that. Well, they're not going to be able to throw out federal law.
Do it. Who says?
Hey, listen, you want to listen,
motherfucker?
Shit. You want to talk about a boogaloo? We talking about secession? We talking about fucking states' rights? Let's do this. I'm a Missouri boy, born and bred.
I think so.
All right, this is where I make my hay.
Who was the Jayhawk that we had? Who was the fucking
William Quantrill?
Yeah, thank you.
Raiders.
Thank you.
Listen, there were things that he did that was great, and there were things that he did that was heinous. Okay, that's history.
Heinous, anus.
But I will say that he wasn't wrong to go into Lawrence and burn that sumbitch to the ground.
Let's go burn Lawrence, Kansas to the ground.
That's all I'm trying to do. Come on. That's all I'm trying to do.
With weed.
Bobby Battlehawk's rubbing off on you.
Ah, fuck he is. Let's get to him.
Let's get to Bobby
Battlehawk.
Battlehawk.
All right, listen, guys. Battlehawks. XFL. Week 2. Bobby Battlehawk, he came in, he broke it down. All right? And we're just going to share this little gem with you.
Hold on. I do want to get to the crux of the
biscuit.
The
crux of the biscuit.
I did some research. I don't know if I said this last time. August 23rd is his first thing on Twitter.
August 21st was the day you recorded your video with the screech.
With the screech, and then I did another video.
But it was a little bit of a...
I think it was maybe the inspiration for the Cacao 23rd, but it caught fire. We started to use it on the reg August 25th. By August 28th, this shit caught fire like Raja the elephant did back in the day.
All these clowns talking about April the giraffe and shit. We have Raja, dude.
Raja blue, dude. Right. So the Cacao is one of the biggest phenomenons I've ever seen in my life.
It's amazing.
Jenny will look at me and I'm just laughing about something. She's like, "What is it? Fucking Battlehawk shit again?" I'm like, "It's Battlehawk shit again."
I don't know what to do. It's just
there was a guy.
Dude, the true history of the Battlehawks, like when the people lay down this day
ever.
in Battlehawk history.
Yeah, my favorite
that
part.
That shit is my favorite,
dude, man. And the Cacao is law from our guy Sergeant Screamo. There are some St. Louis is the funniest.
Town.
Is the funniest town.
The most hurt people are the funniest.
We've been hurt.
We've been hurt so goddamn bad.
All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna flip you. I cannot wait for you guys to see this week's installment of Bobby Battlehawk. Week 2. Stick around to the end because we got a phenomenal little end treat for you. We'll be right back in about 7 minutes.
Man, there ain't nothing like that gal getting that first sniff of that Jacquard Noir and hearing you go, Cacao, Cacao, right at climax.
It's the Bobby Battlehawk Show.
Dude, man.
We got a blue blade bird. Blue blade bird. Say it. Huh, huh.
Is this today? That's the Bobby to Bobby Express.
Taman. Jordan. Damn, man, hit me in the basket, dude.
Come on, man, you got to put it in there, dude. Damn. Could have been first down. Oh, hell, dude. You know, get me killed across the middle like that. Ladies, Gorilla Glue sponsors this ad. Kid's got chopped up horse feet on his hands. Call it the law. What's up, everybody? It's Bob Battlehawk, man. You know, you guys know me. I'm just the lean, mean, lady-pleasing machine. You know what I mean? I'm worn down a little bit, man, after XFL Sundays, dude. You know, I go out there, watching the game down at Truman's and Soulard. What a snooch party it is down there, dude. I ended up hooking up with a couple of Nubian princesses with that sea-salted chocolate caramel skin, boy. Whew! Took old daddy for a ride, if you know what I mean. Tell you what I like, man. I like a little Hawaiian gal, man. Skin just smelling like coconuts, man. She just wants to lay you the second you walk in the door, if you know what I mean. I like them Swedish gals. They don't even know nothing about football, but, man, they know how to give you a massage. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean, buddy? I'm just Bobby Battlehawk, dude. I'm just a dude. I like them little Thai gals, man. Only want to do it in the dark, if you know what I mean. They're always good times. Something, man, it's just a little bit tighter, a little bit naughtier with them. Man, I'll tell you what, I like them little Irish gals, man. See-through skin, red head like the flames of hell. I like them little Canuck gals, man. One thing, they appreciate a good American sports car, like my Roadrunner. The other thing is they're just so damn polite. Tell you what else I like, man. I like me a Navajo gal, little Apache woman, man. Help me live out my John Smith fantasies. More than anything, man, I just like me a tried and true South City little river rat. You know what I mean? A girl's down for a good time, throw back a couple of natties with her daddy. If you know what I mean, that's the true icing on the cake for me. It's them little South City Hoosier broads. Man, they'll hop in the ride. They know to take their shoes off before they get in the old runner, if you know what I mean. That's the kind I like, man. All right, dude, let's kick to these Week 2 highlights, XFL football Battlehawks. Looks like, I don't know, Houston's got some kind of kicker up there. I think dude's name's Sergio. Of course, these Roughnecks are going to kick a fucking field goal. Splits the uprights. Do your little tango, Sergio. Good job, man. Welcome to America. All right. Let me get to the Battlehawks highlights, please. Look at this. Threw that spiral tighter than the bull's ass in fly season, boy. Oh, man, shaking a tackle. A little grease. Look at that. Jones. Got me a Jonesin', baby. Jonesin' for a little bit more offense. All right, here we go. Here we got Houston's lined up here. Battlehawks in a little 4-4, 4-3 looks like. Maybe 4-4, 4-3 looks like. 4-3. Laying the lumber out there, boy. Whoo! He hit that boy so hard that boy's grandma got shit in her pants. Hey, you tip your cap every now and then. Look at that. God damn. Look, Battlehawks had some pressure on here. You're going to see here, they're going to slow it down slow motion. Look at this. Our D lineman, look at this. He's going to get a hand up. This little Walker, he's a player. Look at that sidearm underneath his arm. He just thread that thing. Look like Huck Finn and a sewing needle. Look at that. Give the boy his props. Touchdown Roughnecks. Oilers, Roughnecks. What the hell with this logo? There's got to be some kind of copyright infringement or something. Here we go. Throwing Samoan. Jordan Tamu. Oh, look at this. Just throws Jordan. Come on, baby. Man, he rushed that one. That's all right. But you cannot let this cat just walk all the way back down the damn field. Come on, put a body on him. Hell, man. That could be the game right there, boys. Where's the tackling? I'd like to see a replay on that. Because I'm telling you right now, as sure as I got two eyes in my head, this sumbitch did not break the plane. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, man, how much damn time you going to give a kid? Did you give him 4x chances? No shit, they're going to march down the field. Come on, boys. Come on, Cacao. Get up. Look at him. Throwing Samoan. Touchdown. Touchdown. Don't give him that out route, boy. Don't give him them 2-yard out routes because he'll take it. He'll take what you give him, and he'll make you hate it. Look at that. Touchdown, Battlehawk. Cacao, boy. Cacao. That boy's long. He started laying out at the damn near 4-yard line for that. Man, I got me a man crush on Jordan Tamu. Tamu? All right, here we go. I know I'm sitting in the way. Figure it out. What, you can't use context clues? Touchdown Roughnecks. Fuck, you want to celebrate? Shit. Come on, man. Jordan out of the gun. Here it goes. He's going to give him a look. Whoo-wee! Laser show. Boy just throwing laser beams all over the goddamn laser field. Thing's a howitzer, boy. Oh, look at this. M-I-Z-Z-O-U. You heard me? You heard me, LaDamian Washington? That's pride of Missouri right there, kid. Missouri Tigers. Look at them greasy, slick wheels, boy. Might as well be a fucking road runner running down the sidelines. Damn. Hey, man, here's the deal, man. You can't win them all. You sure want to try. Like I said in that video there, this very well could be a preview of the XFL Championship. We saw a lot of skill out there. We saw a lot of scoring out there. Battlehawks dug themselves a little bit of a hole, but they had fight in them the whole way. And I'll tell you what, you look at the stats, boy, I'll tell you, them stats, we dominated that game. A couple calls didn't go the way. I'll tell you what, I should have got a steal because them referees had me madder than a wet hen. I mean, hotter than a fucking hornet, all right? There was a neutral zone infraction, okay? Could have damn near gave us the game, all right? And you got sky officials, you got girls running all over the field in the zebra stripes, and not anybody can see that this dude is lined up in the neutral zone? Come on, dude. Man, this is XFL football. I thought we were professionals. Should be the best of the best out there calling this game. Man, there ain't nothing like that gal getting that first sniff of that Jacquard Noir and hearing you go, caw, right at climax. Man, it'll get you there every time. This is Bobby Battlehawk. This week, I'm signing off. We're coming for you next week, New York Fartians.
It's the Bobby Battlehawk Show. Dude, man. Are you proud of yourself?
I don't know.
Oh, it's so good. It is my favorite shit of all time.
Oh, there's something wrong with me.
That could be our work day. Every day, you people would just be oozing laughter.
You know who I'm laughing at? The 78 people that left before they got to see that gym.
Idiots.
Fuck you, Jerry Jones.
Yeah, that was so good, dude. It's just, I don't even want to be around Craig anymore. I only want to be around Bobby.
I mean, we can arrange that.
I know. I can.
I'd call Bobby up and he will do this job full time.
Buddy, I had a nice little run as Cucky the Dwarf, which was a little jean short wearing half shirt guy. I'd march up and down Hampton Avenue. I'd do a multitude of other little deals. But I found Cucky. People ask me, where'd you come up to character? Cucky was me. Steve Elgin was the guy. Was the guy I had to play for everybody. It doesn't hate me. Cucky was the true soul. And I feel like Bobby Battlehawk really encapsulates your soul, my man. Dude.
I've told you, buddy. Bobby Battlehawk he's an amalgamation of a lot of different characters. You know,
he's so good, dude.
But for the most part,
Dazed and Confused. I saw a comment.
Yeah, definitely. There's a little bit of McConaughey and Dazed and Confused. There's a little bit of maybe a little bit of Uncle Rico, and there's every single dude that I was a hydraulic mechanic with, and I built limos with. Just every badass dude that I knew down in the Queen City of the Ozarks.
Some of the shit you guys used to do building fucking limos too, like the ramp. I think we told that at the studio, or did we tell that in here?
I think maybe we told it here. Yeah.
That was
I don't even know if we told it here. I might need to tell that story sometime.
Some of the shit that they got into at the old limo was just unbelievable. Thank you guys for watching the Bobby Battlehawk video. He's got over 10,000 views. Craig...
Cucky is Steve, and Bobby is definitely Craig.
That's coming from your betrothed. She means it.
Oh, guess who's hanging out south of the Mason-Dixon line tonight, girl?
Okay, so we got the Bobby Battlehawk thing and the Cucky. We're gonna do some crossover videos.
No doubt, a Cucky and Bobby show.
Oh, for sure.
That's a given.
But we'll try so hard. You do the psychedelic. You had a psychedelic scrapbook, sir.
Yeah.
That was about neurogenesis and people being able and the implications that have could have come out of that are some of the most mind-blowing, amazing advancements in medicine we could possibly have.
And it serves
as humans.
my sole purpose. Like,
it does.
That's like what people are like. What's your dream,
218
man?
views.
What's your passion? And I'm like, oh man, I just I want to change the world. I want to help mental health. I want to let people know that there's this thing that we already knew. Like this is I'm writing blogs.
Yes.
I'm making
You're
videos.
in it.
8 views.
I know. 18 people who are into
dress
it,
up
though.
like a fucking power Hoosier and talk about your Roadrunner. All right.
11,000 views tomorrow. What the fuck?
I'm with it though, because I have more fun with that shit than I think anybody. Dude,
we were dying laughing making that video. I was crying so hard that it was on my eyelashes, and my eyelashes were crying up my glasses that I had to wipe my glasses.
I
had to wipe my glasses up from the inside. It's my favorite shit, says Jesse Hickman. The Battlehawks, thank you so much for bringing the city together. You know, like it's a
I said that I was going to sell it. I don't care what level. And honestly, the level of football I think is actually surprising everybody.
The quarterback from the Roughnecks was a player.
Walker's a player, and Tamu's a player. Tamu is a great player.
Tamu was 14 for 16.
He's the youngest QB in the league. He's going to be in the NFL next year.
Yes, he is.
There's no doubt
Don't leave
about
us,
it.
Kid. Huh? I got a man crush on him.
Don't leave me, kid. The Battlehawks thing is awesome. It's what's crazy about it is there's like half of the St. Louis population. They're buying the tickets, but they're in like on this joke. But it's also like this thing that we can all rally around, get hammered, drunk, and celebrate. And then there's like, dude, the diehards that are like, well, Battlehawk calling? Dude, like, come on, you're making us look like assholes.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, except, we're the only team that's not in an NFL city. I don't think that's what's making us look
Craig,
like assholes.
Let's follow this down the line a little bit. We win the rest of our games. We go to the playoffs, and we win a championship. Are they marching a parade down Market? Is the city so bought in that Sergeant Screamo, and there's a guy who only does shirtless pictures?
Bobby, dude, he's the best.
He's my fucking jam.
Bobby
dude.
did give it to me on good authority. There is some plans going. I'll tell you exactly how he told me. He said, Craig, listen, man. When they win that championship, my buddy Jimmy, he's got a contract. Jimmy's got a contract with the Battlehawks. They're going to put the iron in the back of his El Camino.
Oh shit! Go down 61, 67
here's
south.
The cool shit of it, man. They're going to fill the whole El Camino, the whole damn thing of it. They're going to fill it all with ice, the whole back of it. There's going to be natties for days. Okay, all the best St. Louis domestics you can wrap your lips around.
I'm going to be in a natty haze for days.
A natty haze for days. Anyway, so yeah, man, I think there's going to be a parade down Market.
That can you imagine?
Not market, maybe down fucking.
I think it's 61, 67. We're
running that bitch through Jeffco.
I don't know, but I thought, how funny would that be? We've taken this joke as far, and the Blues just won. The Cardinals in 2011. It was some of the most magical moments of my life. In '99, when was it the Rams did it? '99, yeah. Well, that was so
99,
cool.
2000. Yeah, they won it in 2000. It was the '99 season.
Yes. So to see what would happen if there'd be guys in crow masks. People have legit bird masks,
and they're painted blue and silver. Like it's on.
Phenomenal.
We have sold out the home opener. Sold out 27,000
a while back.
Seats. And the thing is like everyone's like, open the. If they would have opened the top, we might have got another 10. But the contract with the XFL is just for the lower bowl. There's all kinds of staffing issues and all that.
All right, we're an hour 30 into this thing. We got another commercial break. I want to tell you a little bit about the shirt I'm wearing. Aiden's Alliance. I had the first ever Missouri Cannabis podcast last week.
It was awesome, dude.
I talked a little too much.
I really enjoyed it.
I
enjoyed it because we all see Ashley. We all see the work that she's doing. And honestly, straight up, if we're all being honest with ourselves, people like Aiden, Ashley's son, were absolutely used as a rough word, but what's the word I'm looking for? They were definitely put out there as a reason for doing it, and we were all like, "Yep, we're in."
Oh, we're sure.
In. We are in.
That
you
was
tell
our
me
first
which way is
thing.
Aiden's Alliance going? We are in. And so, to actually get to hear Ashley's story and to hear Aiden's story and how guys, go check out Steve's Missouri Cannabis podcast.
I'll put it up here.
It is terrific. It's really awesome. And then we're going to have a Missouri Psychedelic podcast coming out real shortly, probably opening up with the edited down Doblin for you guys. But please go check it out. It's available, I think, in anywhere you can podcast.
Everywhere but iTunes yet. iTunes, we're almost there. I would assume within this week we'll be on iTunes as well. But Ashley, man, what a fucking powerhouse, dude. Just being around her and her family, like I think I talk about it in the podcast, it's a house of love, man.
No doubt.
Immediately when I went in, her kids are some of the coolest people. And you, being a parent, when you see a person you might like this person, you meet their kids, they're complete assholes, and then you rethink how you think about that person. You're like, what the fuck are they doing? And letting their kids walk all over them? Like, come on, man. You want to have a conversation. Well, you meet her kids, and they're so awesome that you're like,
they're smart,
you're even
well-behaved, talented.
Dude, shitty at pool. Come on, kids.
Well, did you spot them? You give them like the 7 out?
I'm terrible, but I accidentally knocked the 8 ball in on one. I don't know what's going on. But go to aidensalliance.org, Aiden's Alliance on Facebook. Just go visit them. They are the sweetest human beings on earth. They're the reason for the season. That's why I want people just to be able to gift and grow as much. That way people the people that we know with huge hearts can grow as much as they want and give them. Because all of these growers who have been growing, we have this stigma like weed pot growers and they're bad and they got fucking pounds and a bunch of plants. A lot of times they're giving medicine and making oils for fucking cancer patients. We're on the precipice of, and we've been there for a while, but where it spills over into the mainstream that cannabis helps with cancer big time, maybe with curing it and shrinking tumors and causing apoptosis, to where it may just help you eat and sleep and get off the opioids, and any advantage you can give to someone fighting that battle is an advantage you want to fucking give them.
No doubt. And I mean, even taking it a step further, considering what it really takes a lot of times for people on cancer protocols or anything like that, and the RSO, the amount of flour that it takes to make enough RSO to where someone can actually build a regimen around it. We need plentiful cannabis. We need it for the medicine. Like, it's not enough to, like, honestly, straight up, of the 70% of people that voted, take out all of the people that are really well educated in cannabis. A huge swath of those people think that the people wanting this passed, smoking marijuana cigarettes is what's curing the cancer. But man, they don't understand RSO. No. They don't understand.
It's not fun. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna get high and going to a Modest Yahoo concert.
And dude, straight up, like the couple of experiences I've had with RSO, like, I love it. Like, it's a little much for me, but I actually found out recently that RSO, when taken as a suppository, does not have the psychotic effects.
Oh, buddy. You stick enough in there, it do. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to get across, because a lot of times we're surrounded by the people who know, the people we love, and the people that are already versed in what's going on. So spread the word and talk to John, talk to these people, form these groups. Get it. I told people at the job fairs, just join these groups, join the Missouri Cannabis Network, join these people in founding this system, because that's what we've been doing so far. Let's keep at it. And should we throw in a break here and then we come back with streaming picks? Are we going to do a minute with Mike? I mean, we just throw him in.
Yeah, we can just cast him into the fire. Okay, you want to do that?
We'll do that. God, I almost want to play Bobby Battlehawk again, dude. Commercial break.
We won't kill him with that. No, we just did one. Let's do Com 2. Guys, we're going to give you a quick commercial break, about 6 minutes or so. On the other side of it, maybe we'll do a quick minute with Mike. Mike, you up for it? All right, we'll throw Mike in the old hot seat here, and then after that, we'll give some streaming picks. We'll wrap this whole thing up, and we love you guys. Stick around a couple minutes.
James Carlton Insurance 314-961-4800.
Handsome, amazing, astonishing,
Astounding.
fabulous,
Incredible.
fantastical,
Phenomenal.
prodigious,
Stupendous.
unbelievable,
Wondrous.
divine.
Fantastical.
No, seriously, he's fantastical.
You got a house.
Go on and get it insured.
You got a car.
You gotta get it insured.
You got a life.
Go on and get it insured. CarltonInsurance.net.
Fantastical. Stupendous. Fantastic.
You take our insurance and are you cannabis friendly? Yeah. And they all said no. And then at that last phone call, that 8th phone call, I was like, do you know anybody that is? I'm desperate. I've called 7 other people. You're my 8th phone call. Yeah. At this point, I'm crying my eyes out. And this lady just felt bad for me and said, hold on, let me call you back in a few minutes. And they called me back and they said that they would take him, but under a certain amount of conditions. And the main condition was that if they felt that cannabis was not working for him, then they would take him from us and put him in and Child Protective Services, and then they would take the other 2 kids too. Oh, because they were both underage.
Then
and we would be charged with child endangerment.
So they'd go to federal prison.
Yeah, we would go to federal prison. So we said, bring it on.
Come to Privilege, I got good price.
This is one of the best Cubans. I try a Cuban everywhere I go, and this is one of the best damn Cubans I've ever had. And we've got a little white cheddar mac here with a little cracker mac. Life-changing, incendiary.
Everywhere I go, I try the Cuban. This time I didn't. I got the grilled cheese bacon burger.
Look at that thing.
With put some pepper jack on there, some jalapenos, and we got some crinkle fries. And all I can say is, oh baby, grow baby.
As you can see, this was once a delicious plate of coconut scrimps, and I devoured it. And if I had to say, if I had to give a review real quick, I'd say it's an orgasmic feast of the senses.
And I love meat.
charged full time.
Come to prove it.
And now it's time for a minute with Mike.
Hey, y'all. It's a minute with Mike, and I don't have shit this week. But I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to look at y'all, and I'm going to say, hey, what's up? Anybody got any questions? Anything? I don't see anything. Greg, got any questions? Steve, got any questions? I have nothing. I did have a okay week. It's been a little down, a little up, you know. So I just been kind of going with it, and I'm gonna take a drink of whatever this is. It's pretty fucking warm. Whoa. Maybe I shouldn't have taken a drink of that. My senses are heightened. Okay. Minute with Mike. How many viewers do we have? Have we lost anybody? I'm sure we lost everybody, right?
And
no?
That's been your minute with Mike. Let's talk a little bit about that party we got coming up the 29th. Hey, big old boy, Krager McGregor.
Well, it's going to be a little Southside sing-along, Steve, is what's going to be. And, boy, have you put together a show. Have you put together a show.
I got a nice little list going.
This group, this Sophisticated Hoosiers group, is, I'll tell you what, they're a talented bunch. Yeah. They are a talented bunch, and we are going to highlight some of these talents. And we're going to do it at such a great place because Truman's and Soulard is awesome. They always roll out the carpets for us. Their service is top notch. Their food's killer. No.
Dirty old Venetian.
Yeah, it's like more of a Berber, like a real thick Berber carpet.
Yeah. It's all right, though.
It's all right. It's fine. It's whatever. Fine. They're doing what they can.
They're fine.
They're doing what they can. I'm really looking forward to it, man. I always look forward to any time all the Hoosiers can come together.
Buddy, did you happen to see the package of 30 kazoos that I ordered for everyone to play during some of our songs? Because what I have envisioned for all of us is we're going to spread the chairs out on that back patio, spread the tables out, and we're going to get people with just their acoustic guitars to be able to sing and play loud enough that people can hear it. I don't know if that's going to be the deal with the bar part going on right behind. So I am going to bring a speaker just in case we need to put a microphone up to the guitar. But we're counting on everyone to come there and sing. We got people coming from KC, people coming from Springfield. This will be a night to remember because we're going to do some drink specials up until we're going to get started around 7, just hanging out, drinking, partying, smoking a little bit. But like 9, 10 o'clock,
there.
9, 10 o'clock, we are going to hit it with, we have Bigfoot Willie Jr. is going to be there, a live version of Steve Killed the Cat. Nenzi will be there, balding middle-aged man with fingers that just don't quit is what his stage name is. He wrote a new song about your betrothed.
He did.
I think he's got a Bobby Battlehawk too.
I think I could probably put in a good word. Bobby Battlehawk probably
might show up. Bobby
Battlehawk might just be there, dude.
And I ordered a devil mask. I'll have to show you the fucking calamity that was that stupid.
We're getting our money back on that.
No, we're not. It's from China. We're never getting our money back.
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, you handle that.
I'll handle it
because I can't do it.
I will handle it.
So we'll see on the 29th at Truman's. It's going to be one of the greatest nights of your life, and I'm not even scared of saying that because it's when you get a bunch of people around singing and playing music together, and now that we got the kazoo aspect, so if you can't sing, at least you can frickin' kazoo your little heart out. I gave the kazoos to my sons.
Why? Why would you do such a thing?
Okay, so for the first 4 hours, they didn't come out of their mouths until the point I told Ivan, my 4-year-old, I said, dude, you gotta stop with the kazoo. And he's like, he never let me kazoo around the house.
Never let me kazoo. Yeah. Why you keep my kazoo dreams
He goes into his room and he's like, woo, woo, woo.
Crying into it?
Kazooing in defiance. That's how he was kazooing in his room. Like, you can't tell me not to kazoo.
Good I'm for like, him. Fuck the man, kid.
Yeah, a little part of me has always respected that, but the other hand comes right up on his face. I'll hit him.
Jenny says it was the worst idea ever.
Worst idea ever. She wasn't wrong. And then one of the kids blew out the diaphragm. I'm like, oh, All right. So now
they're just
like, oh, it still works.
I've been there, kid.
Blowing out them diaphragms.
Bobby's blown out a diaphragm or two, I'll tell you what.
All right.
Hey, listen, while we were talking about Truman's, it seems like as good of an opportunity as any to tell you about Lifetime Roofing and Renovation.
Roof?
They do a little bit of everything now. I mean, just a little bit of everything. They've always been the kings of exterior work.
Does they have?
Siding, roofs. Heck, a little bit of deck work. If you need a little bit of deck work, they'll just do it all.
Oh, they're the people to call if you have questions, too. They'll just lead you in the right direction.
No doubt. So Lifetime Roofing and Renovation.
Roof.
Go Google them.
Just go Google them. Their 5-star reviews will blow your ass
And
away.
straight up, one of the reasons why I don't feel bad about driving around in this rain or in this nasty weather or anything like that
He's got insurance on the runner.
I am covered by James Carlton State Farm. And I turned Bobby Battlehawk onto him.
James the runner ain't running right now. But.
Well, you know how hard it is? You know how hard it is to insure a 1973 Roadrunner with 4 on the floor?
James can do it.
Dude.
James can do it.
James can do it. So 314-961-4800. Guys, please, if you like this show, give them a shot at your insurance.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to talk about insurance. It's so easy to just get pigeonholed into what you've been doing with insurance. He's probably going to save you money. He's going to give you better customer service. You're probably going to be better covered by him. All right? Let's make it happen.
God.
CarltonInsurance.net. Don't be a
James Carlton!
Fantastical.
You guys get it.
Anyway.
All right. You know what time it is. Hit him with that funky-ass beat, dog. Hold on. Wait, time out. Mike, you want to be in on this serious?
We like movies, so do we like internet, so do it's the streaming picks of the week, and it's the streaming picks of the week. Disney Plus and Hulu. It's the streaming picks of the week. We like the internet too.
What are you watching this week, Steve?
The Outsiders on HBO.
What is The Outsider? Is it like, hold on.
The Outsider.
Is it
The Outsider. The Outsider.
Okay.
The Outsider.
Tell me about The Outsider, man.
Jason Bateman's in it.
Ooh.
And
he's pulling double duty with Ozark and that.
Yeah, the bad guy from Ready Player One. Like the guy who runs the other company. He's kind of like plays a kind of a shithead in a lot of movies.
Okay.
He has a outstanding role in this. It's Stephen King. It's dark as fuck. The cinematography is Ozark-esque to where they're very much starting by a glass here, slowly moving up. It's a beautifully shot show. It's Stephen King, so it's weird. It gets real weird. I'm on episode 4. I think they're hour-long episodes or like 50-something minutes. But they are intense. They are graphic. You don't know if there's it's a crime. Someone turned me onto it. It's a crime mystery type show. Someone turned me onto it by saying it was like True Detective, which it does have a little bit of the first season vibe of True Detective. So if you were into True Detective, I think you'll be into this. If you're into Stephen King, I think you'll be into this. It's not as crazy as some of Stephen King stuff, but it's not normal like Stephen King wouldn't be. So it's right in the middle. So far, I'm blown away by not only how the storyline's going, but how cool it's shot and everything so far, and the acting. Jen said some of the actors, and some of the acting's not that good, but some of it is it's good.
Really?
Yeah, and
right
it's got some parts that'll kind of shock you to throw you in a different direction.
Okay.
So I recommend.
Yeah, I think they classify
Outsider.
it as a horror show.
Probably.
Oddly enough. So.
I think it's a suspense
More of a
crime
suspense
drama.
thriller. Okay.
Yeah, because you're following the cops, and it's interesting to see the cops and the lawyers, and they're all just trying to work together. They're working against each other, but really they're all working together to figure out what the hell happened. So it's fucking interesting, man.
How about you, Mike Oak?
I just started The Messenger. I'm about 3 episodes in, and it's about this meteor that comes down, and it's religion-based. I wouldn't say religion-based. It's like an apocalypse, the devil, the angels. So yeah, religion-based. And they're all connected. they all get hit by this explosion from this meteor, and then they all have a connection to come together.
Okay.
And when they come together, they find out that they have to save the world.
Okay.
And there's a devil guy trying to find the horseman. So anyone who makes a first sin becomes a horseman.
Okay. What's it on?
Netflix.
Netflix
The
called
Messenger.
The Messenger? Messengers.
Yes.
Okay.
What was your
All
pick
right.
from last week too? Because we had a bunch of people asking about that. You remember it was like a mixture of like X-Files and Batman the TV show. Yeah.
Black soap opera. That's what I said.
It's all right, Craig. We'll go on to you. Try to think of it.
I'll come back later with it.
Cool. Thank you.
I watched a movie that I've seen on the Netflix recommended for probably well over a year, maybe 2 years. I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd. He's just an easy guy to like. You know, every role he's in kind of makes me laugh. He's kind of an everyman. Kansas City Kid.
Mike, you might want to turn your mic on. Was it? Well, okay. They said you were quiet. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Go on.
no worries. So anyway,
talking.
we got. I finally flipped on this movie. Miss and I watched it for Valentine's Day. We were looking for something.
Yeah.
We were looking for like a rom-com or something, and we were like, let's see what this is all about. Didn't know what it really was. Fundamentals of Caring. Have you seen this?
God, why? Sounds familiar.
Yeah, like I said, it's been on Netflix.
Yeah.
Been kind of one of the suggested ones for a while. So it basically takes place. Paul Rudd becomes a caregiver for somebody with MS, maybe, or in a wheelchair. Needs a full-time caregiver.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd takes this gig, and right out the gate, this kid is just breaking his balls, man. Like just really making it tough to be a caregiver for him. And it was a really heartfelt movie. It's got your gal Selena Gomez in it. It's got Selena in it. Yeah, man, it's Paul Rudd. It's this. I don't know who the young British actor is that plays the patient, that plays the kid. But it had me laughing throughout. It was really heartfelt. I mean, the title itself was a great title for it, because it was all about this dude who was just going through the fundamentals of caring about someone else, and the challenges of caring for someone who isn't your family or anything like that. And it kind of covers this road trip that takes place across the country. And dude, I really enjoyed it. Even Miss said, like, she's like, man, that might have moved like up in at least my top 10, top 5.
Really?
Like it was a really feel good movie. It's a good one. You and Jen and you and Joe, Mike, you guys will absolutely love that flick, man. It's good.
That's amazing.
Hey, so
turn your mic up a little bit.
Muscular dystrophy. Thank you, babe.
Actually, it was. Let me see.
You're 4.
Check.
There you go. You're good, bub. There you go.
October Faction.
That's
it.
it.
I was in, and I finished it. And
How was it?
I really liked it.
Okay.
That's kind of my thing. I like to, when you take yourself away from reality, when you get into a show and you kind of binge something, that was kind of my go-to.
Turn it up a little bit.
A little bit more?
Unless you got to talk right into like the tip.
Hello.
Oh, there you go. Talk right into the tip of it.
Okay. October Faction was my last week's pick. Keeps going down. There we go.
Just learn how to fucking
October
talk into a fucking microphone.
It was a good binger for me, and I loved it.
Cool. October Faction. Name of yours was The Outsider, or just Outsider?
The Outsider.
The Outsider. And mine was Fundamentals with Caring. Guys,
good job.
Let's wrap this bad boy up.
Oh,
great
buddy.
fucking show. Great show.
That was a good show. We're going to have some
I love y'all Hoosiers. Thanks for watching.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
He's
He's
all over their
excited.
shit.
He's like you had your minute and he couldn't. I give him a fucking minute. Guy can't say a fucking word. I take the camera off of him. He won't shut the fuck up. I don't know what's happening here. Hey, big thanks to Mike. Mike, without Mike, we couldn't do this show. We could, just not as well. Mike runs our Instagram, too. For any of you people watching what's happening on our Instagram page, it's phenomenal. And Mike's more than willing to help with the cannabis industries, get their social media up, get the Instagram numbers up. That's what's going to be the next game. We talk about the SEO numbers with the cannabis game right now. If you search Missouri cannabis, it's a bunch of there are no, I used to do for roofing, there are no John Beals there yet that are just this powerhouse in in the Google algorithm. So now is the time to really start getting on that. When people Google, I don't know how much that's going to go into it. It's not like finding a roofer, but if you're going to Google search where to get pot, if that's your simplest way of doing it.
Yeah, no doubt. Follow us along, man. Follow along. YouTube.com/mycelial media. Give us a subscribe. We like to put out some stuff there. Basically, mycelial.media. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
We rolled it out. Mycelial.media is going to be the home of all of the shows here. Hoosier Sophisticate, we'll put our show on over there. Also the Missouri Cannabis Podcast, Missouri Psychedelic Podcast. We're Own Adventure is going to be there. Eventually, we're going to get the gals together. We're going to do our Not Occult Classics.
Yes.
So we're going to roll out so many shows this year. Content. I want to throw a thank you out to guys like Nate Bowman, who
Hell yeah.
He's going to have a conversation with John in a couple days as well. Go and check that out. He was willing to throw out some of his questions that he had for John on our show. We are all working together.
Nate on Cannabis.
Go follow him. But, guys, we're trying to get as much information out there so that I don't ever want to tell anybody what to do. I would much rather just give you all of the, there's sometimes I like to tell people what to do. But when it comes to the way you vote and the way, all of that kind of stuff, I'm not trying to steer anybody in any direction other than to give you all the deals. And maybe I'll editorialize a little bit and say, well, this is where I'm at on it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the information's out there. We're going to try and bring it to you guys. And it takes this whole community coming together to do it. Ricky Starling at the Missouri Cannabis Network, always been happy to share our stuff out there. And
Clay
throw our
Stallings was on
Clay
there.
Stallings Evolution Mag was asking some great questions. Check out Evolution Mag. Guys, we got MoCan BizCon is 2 days after the Southside Sing-Along. Hopefully the people that are coming in town for that, come out, hang out with us, see a little bit of what a Hoosier Sophisticate party looks like. And then over those couple of days at MoCan BizCon, we're going to get some great content. We're going to get to shake hands with a lot of people, get to learn who's up and coming in the industry. This year will be a little bit more telling about the people that have maybe been awarded some licenses and who's going to be out there moving around. And outside of that, stay tuned, guys. Follow Grow Trade Fest. That's something I'm really looking forward to in September. We had a kickoff party last month, buddy. We got to take our wives out there and just have a great time with great people. Even with all of the frustrations that we have with maybe some of the language and how there's a community divided, there are still people that are creating a very loving Canna family that you can find your way into. If you're a genuine person that's looking out for the goodwill of their fellow man, then you're going to fit in real well at these events. So Grow Trade Fest is coming up in September.
411
Canna Fest.
That is shaping up to be.
Looks like they're going to have maybe a home grow Canna Fest cup. So
I'll throw my hat in the ring for the judge.
Hoosier Sophisticate volunteers.
I
volunteer. I think that's how it went. I don't know, guys. I'm into it. I'm into it. That's all I can say, man. All I can say.
Thanks for Bobby Battlehawk for joining the show and being just algorithm fuel to the Hoosier Sophisticate brand. Appreciate that so much. We appreciate all of you. And remember, Missouri, we're the ones really in control at the end of the day, where you're going to buy your cannabis, who you're going to hang out with, who you're going to network with, who you're going to figure out is running these places. We're still in control. Let's just keep up the conversations, keep talking to each other, keep loving one another, and we'll get through this shit, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. The way you guys can help us out the most is you see something you like, share it out there. Tag your friends in it. It seems silly to ask for that kind of stuff, but that's how it works. If you want to get it across there, you want to maybe convince somebody that you don't otherwise know, keep pushing content towards them.
Sure.
And we're going to embarrass you. We're going to embarrass you with the cock joker too. Okay? But that's what kind of brings us all together. All right? So, I don't know, man.
Thank you.
I've had a lot of fun.
I've
had a ton of fun. So,
Mike, I'll put you on so you can wave bye. I'm going to show the Sweet Leaf video before we get out of here, say our goodbyes. I made it, so I'm going to show it to you. It's for MoCan BizCon. Then we'll play with the little logos, and we'll see you on the flip side. Am I right, guys?
Be well, Hoosiers.
Bye.